Hello. So congratulations, you chose to play oboe. Or should I say, I'm sorry you chose to play oboe. Just kidding. Oboe is fun. It is so fun. Oh my gosh, I think it's broken. So I'm gonna tell you how to play it so you're ready to play in a professional orchestra. So the first thing you need to do, you got this reed here. It's got two reeds actually, it's called a double reed. You want to soak that because if you don't, you just won't get as good a sound on it. So usually you soak it in water, and a good like prescription bottle I'm putting it in is good, but I don't have that, so I'm just using my water bottle. I already soaked it, so I'm good. You want to soak it up to the thread right there, and it's okay if you get it wet. It's not recommended because the thread could start unraveling, but you definitely don't want to get it up to the cork. So after you got that soaked, or it is soaking, you need to start putting the instrument together. So the first thing you have the bell, and we're gonna take this and put it to the lower joint, and as you put it together, you're gonna just put your fingers on the keys and just kind of twist it into each other. Then you take the upper joint and just do the same thing. You want to make sure the rods are aligned and the keys are too, so the notes come out, because that's important when you play an instrument. And so your reed's nice and soaked, and you make sure you want to push it in all the way, or else it won't sound good. But I mean, does the oboe really sound good? So the next thing you need to do is have good posture. So you want to sit up straight, nice and straight. You're a queen, remember that. And the oboe is gonna be 40 degrees away from your body. It's a little further than the clarinet. Your hands are gonna go on the first, second, and third, and the first, second, and third. Pretty self-explanatory. Make sure you cover the holes if your oboe has one, if they're big enough. Be very careful with the reeds when you put them in your mouth. Some students will bump around, it'll hit in their mouth and it'll break. Be very careful with that. And you're gonna have just kind of your elbows relaxed and perfect. Okay, so now you look like you know how to play the instrument, but how do you actually get a sound? So what you're gonna do, you're gonna take both your lips, you're gonna wrap them around your teeth, and then kind of draw string style. Make sure your corners are firm, and you're gonna do that while half the reed is in your mouth. So put it in there like that and make sure your corners are firm so the air doesn't escape. And to articulate, you're gonna blow a steady stream of air into the mouthpiece, and you're gonna, most problems students have is just their embouchure not being firm enough, them blowing too much air into it because it's very small hole and a lot of resistance, so they will tend to overblow and it'll sound bad, kind of, and they won't get anything at all, or just struggle and hypoventilate. But you know, when you do start playing the instrument and blowing into it, a lot of the sound is from the reed, so you really have to make sure that your reed is in good condition and it's good cane, because if the reed isn't good, the sound is not going to be good. The hardness of the reed really affects how difficult it is to play, so if it's really hard, you probably won't be able to get a sound on it. At least a beginner student won't. Make sure the reed is all the way in, or else just you won't get a good tone, and it's already pretty hard to tune this starting out, so anything that'll make it harder is kind of just adding to the difficulty of the instrument. One thing when you start is you will need to breathe out just as much, if not more, than when you breathe in. Because of the resistance, there's a lot of back pressure, and it could result in hypoventilation, and you may pass out if you don't breathe out. So to articulate on the oboe, it's not too hard. You just blow in it, and you want to do have your tip of the tongue hit the tip of the reed. It's like this. Kind of saying ta. Some students will try to tongue too hard and it's really aggressive. like this. And they'll sound like a dying duck, if not more so than they already do. But just make sure they do it just lightly, and if you need them to staccato, just a little shorter, just a little bit of the tip, not as much tongue. And if you want them to do kind of legato or smooth, it's gonna be like just a little more tongue. So staccato, but better tone than I do. And then kind of legato smooth. That's gonna be more of a da kind of. Just a few little quick notes. The oboe is a lot of work to upkeep. Like, these reeds last maybe a week, and they're very expensive, and it's hard to distinguish the good quality. In fact, it's more recommended you make your own, which is a lot of time and practice and skill to do. So it takes a lot of patience, it takes a lot of dedication, because the oboe is very hard to tune, especially with beginners. So you're gonna need someone who isn't afraid to make mistakes and isn't afraid to like play their own part, and is just very dedicated, and probably has a musical family that understands the amount of money and time needed, because if you're playing the oboe, you will need a private lessons teacher. It is a hard instrument to master, but when you do, it could sound really beautiful and be an awesome part of the band. There you go, guys. Hope you can play the oboe and one day sound better than me.